Hello, Gun Nation. How's everyone doing this evening? We will go ahead and get it kicked off, and I know some people will be jumping in here in a little while, and that's all fine and good. But I will go ahead and get the. I've already said hi to a couple of people. Got Ron Hunt, Pistol Pete, CZ Shadow 2, Dennis Buckner, Lake Ozark Guy. Let's see here. Dirt Track. And yes, Pistol Pete. I always run the extended widened safeties on the Shadow 2 and on my TSO. If you have a TSO, anybody that has a TSO, the Shadow 2 extended safety will fit the TSO because I do not like the factory TSO safeties. And when I put the Shadow 2 one in it, it was all good. So if anybody's curious and they have a TSO, you can run a CZ Shadow 2 wider safety. But yes, as I've talked about before, you know, Tom, I'm very used to a 19 slash a 2011. So anytime I have the opportunity to put a ledge on it just to ride my thumb on, that's what I choose to do. So I do like that better. Also, with my thumb size, with those little narrow ones that it comes with, that little thin, I know a lot of people choose to use those. They suck for me in my hands. I do not like them. But that's just me. Hello, Mike Kai. How are you? A-Dubs. Reloading from the hot pot. Clyde. Cumberland. Scott79. Hello, Chris from the 740. And y'all don't forget to tune in to Chris's chat. His is right after mine over on his channel. Got AR Gun 1776, Casey Dolph. Let's see here. And y'all saw we'll get into it here in just a second, but y'all saw the title of the chat. It's When is Enough Enough? And I'll get into that here in just a little bit. Because I get, I've had people ask me that or comment on that. So we'll get into that. Also, if anyone is interested, Silencer Shop is running a couple of promotions on the Q, Trash Panda, the for suppressors, the Nelson, the full Nelson. They're paying the $200 tax stamp on some suppressors. They're doing an early Christmas deal, and I know some of the Q suppressors are on there. So if y'all want to need one, hell, get that, save that $200. Also, on the community tab, if y'all haven't voted yet or not, I put up a poll about, I don't know, 3 hours ago, and it's kind of going through what is your favorite gun size to EDC, and it's like XL, large, medium for compact, slim or small for slim, um, or micro, and then XS for like those little bitty tiny guns, like the little North American Arms and the little, tiny 22s and stuff like that. But so far, it's got like 246 votes, and it's pretty interesting. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. And if you look, I did say in there, which do you prefer to EDC? It's not what do you EDC. So I hope some people kind of saw the prefer versus maybe what some people carry. But anyway, it's if y'all want to go over there and check it out or go over there and give your input, it's always good when we can have some of the people, kind of share their experiences or take some votes in that. Hello, Bald and Curious. How are you? Ranger 10. Um, yeah, that's part of what I was going to get into it. Um, yeah, no, Pistol Pete. We definitely, you know, yeah. I mean, like I said, any infringement. I mean, all of the. I mean, and I've made this comment before. Like if I ever go to the muffler shop to get a new muffler on my truck, am I paying a $200 tax stamp to make my truck quieter? I mean, that's what a muffler does. Now you can put a performance muffler on it to make it louder or whatever you want to do, or a glass pack back in the day. But you have to run a muffler or something like that on your car, like a catalytic converter. It's mandatory. Okay, why isn't it mandatory to run a suppressor on your gun? Why should I have to pay a $200 tax stamp to put a muffler on my gun when I don't pay a $200 tax stamp to put a muffler on my car or truck? What the hell sense does that help? I mean, or what the hell sense does that make? And it's not a firearm. It's a freaking accessory, just like a brace, like we've talked about before. And SBR should not even be a thing. It should not be on in the NFA. It should be whatever you want to run it. So all that shit is infringements, period. Every bit of that are infringements. I don't give two shits what anybody says. If I want to buy a tank, I could go buy a tank today. But whatever. Anybody need new or ideas what to get me for Christmas? Need holster for the X Macro 509 Edge, maybe X300T. Primers, just throwing it out there. Yeah, Bald, we'll make sure and get with Santa, and he'll have the elves drop that off for you. And cheers, everyone. We're drinking some Noteworthy this evening. That's good. Yeah, I agree. We should be left alone, like our Ozark guy. We should be left alone. You know, don't get me started on taxes. But what, it is what it is. I mean, hopefully we can get some things changed, but so if y'all are needing suppressors or the tax stamp, taken care of, if you want to check that out, I'm not pushing anything on anybody, and I don't make anything off of that. It's just a friendly reminder. And if y'all want, put in the if you want to take a little poll here, what is your preferred carry size? Is it macro slim, like the micro guns, or is it a compact, or is it a full size? You could just say that. Yeah, straight to jail. Yeah, and it's amazing, Bob or Bald is really handy himself. I'm actually very handy myself. I could make some things. He could make some things. We could all make some things if we wanted to. I'm just saying. Compact. Yeah, and so far, I mean, in that poll, compacts are winning like by a lot. Compacts are in first place, and then it is, like I said, I think there's like 250 votes now, but it's compacts like 65% or something like that, and then it's the macro guns with like 23%. So compact. Hey, Double B, how are you, man? So, but yeah, and also, I mean, I'm a big fan of Q, but Q actually came out with a new knife. It's called the Saboteur, and they just announced it today. And it's actually kind of cool looking, but they only make it in blue and kind of a silver, but it's all titanium. I mean, or a lot of the mechanical parts are titanium and stainless steel. Of course, the blade is like a really high quality steel, but it's a pretty good looking knife. And I do like it's got the sheep. I forget the exact name of that blade, but it's the sheep hook or something like that. But I've got a couple of knives that have that type of blade, and or the, I guess, angle of the blade, or the type of the shape of the blade. And I do like that. I think it's called a sheep hook if I remember right. But the knives are like $255, the Q knives, the Saboteurs, but they do look pretty nice. Good to see you, Double B. Hello, Parts by Teddy. How are you, sir? Parts by Teddy says Ruger LC9 in my pocket and a Car PM9 inside the waistband. There you go. Hello, Rich B. Let's see here. I have never owned a Colt. Interested in getting a Colt 1911. Question is, since Colt was sold with their new ownership, is the quality there? Uh, I mean, Colt 1911s are very nice. I think the older ones are nicer and probably more sought after. Since this is just my opinion only. But since CZ Dan, CZ Dan Wesson and Colt are all together now, this is just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. Uh, I would personally prefer a Dan Wesson 1911 over a Colt 1911. Now, if it was an old Colt collector edition, I would definitely take the Colt. But if it's a new modern Colt, not knocking them, and a lot of people go by their name and love their name, but as far as quality, what I've seen, now this is prior to CZ taking over Colt or buying them out. I would still rather have a Dan Wesson if I were choosing between those two. Hello, Lakeview Outdoors. How are you? I was buying some greeting cards for Christmas today. Damn, they are expensive. Going to have to go back to making my own like I did in grade school. I hear you, Pistol Pete. Everything is crazy. I mean, I'm looking at some of this stuff and I'm just like, it is getting crazy. Parts by Teddy says, I agree with you about the 1911. Yeah, and like I said, that's just my opinion. I'm not trying to hate on anybody that has a Colt or anything like that. I do like the old Colts, when it was Colt. However, Colt and I didn't get along very well. Standard Manufacturing has some old Colt employees building 1911s and SAA in Connecticut. Oh, cool. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, about the chat title, enough is enough. What I get asked all the time is, how many guns are enough? Or they'll say, you have enough guns. Why do you have so many guns? You have enough. You don't need any more. So when is enough enough? And as far as the government, how much bullshit are we going to take? When is enough enough? That's where I was meaning when is enough enough? When is taxation, inflation? When is all this shit enough? It's ridiculous, It's like, and trying to pass all these bullshit laws and stuff. Just so y'all know, YouTube doesn't like me. I've gotten multiple videos demonetized, multiple chats demonetized because I say what I want to say. So this one probably will too. That's not my intention. I'm just speaking my opinion and what I believe are facts. But if it does, it does. So I don't have any control over that. But Rich B, I was looking for your opinion. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Hello, Brian. How are you? Got Prantic in the house. I need just one or two more guns. Who dies with the most guns wins. Yep, hit that thumbs up. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. Hello, Gun Snob. How are you? Marshall 9913. How are you, sir? Guns are like cats. You can never have enough. I don't like cats. I'm not a cat person. Nothing against people who have them, but I'm not a cat person. I'm a dog person. Enough is enough when my want is gone. I get it. Yeah, if you know how many guns you have, then you don't have enough. Yeah, well, I've made statements like that in the past. I've been digging through the safes and stuff and found guns I forgot that I even had. Oh, here it is. Hang on. Sean is saying, in terms of how many guns you should have, I always say as many as you want. However, I do understand trying to justify every purchase with a purpose. Always have to remember it's all about fun. And I do agree with that. I try to have, and if y'all have listened and followed me for a while, I have guns that are purpose. They have a purpose, or I have an intention for getting or building that particular gun. Some are just, hey, I want this, or I think it's cool. And then some I actually say, hey, here's the purpose of this rifle, pistol, whatever it is. Um, but I mean, it's like I said, it's freedom, man. It's do what you want, buy what you want. Who cares what people say? If you want a budget-friendly pistol, get it. If you want a expensive pistol, get it. It's whatever you want. I'm not here to judge you, and you're not here to judge me. I think the more the merrier. And also with all of these new offerings that come out, SIG comes out with a gun weekly, it seems like, and sometimes they're just taking a gun and putting lipstick on it, like a lipstick on a pig, and saying, hey, it's a new model. Such as this tactical one. I mean, it looks cool, and I do like the silica carbide, but the 320 tactical or 320 Legion tactical, it's like, okay, whatever. It's got some slide cuts and some silica carbide, but in a different color. But, it's going to be a gun that people are going to buy and they're going to use and play with and stuff like that. So I say, buy it, do it, get it if that's what you want. But I don't really judge anybody else, and I appreciate the same. There's a lot of guns that I have that people are like, why the hell do you have that gun? Because I want it. Get it. Do what you want. Hello, Scott in Iowa. How are you? Yeah, and I've said this before too. I have enough guns to help out family members if something were to go down. If we had to, get together with neighbors or stuff, and they weren't loaded up or whatever, I've got some to help them out. Put it this way: neighbors or people that you want to help or that you appreciate them and things like that. I'm not going to be the savior for everyone. That's not my intention. Because when the nut cutting comes down, you know who you're going to take care of. And I mean, not everybody can make it. Not everybody can get on the boat, so to say. You know, I do believe in helping people, but we can't save everybody. So, Captain Phil is saying MP5 clone is his Christmas gift this year. Well, there you go. My struggles come from when I already have something that might be good enough for a task, but I could basically have something better suited. And I understand that too. And I've even said this, I have people, friends of mine, I've seen people on YouTube where they buy a bunch of budget guns. Nothing wrong with budget guns if that's what you want. But they tend to load up on a bunch of budget guns. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with them, but really when it comes down to if you have to like really put that gun through a lot of abuse, will it take it? Maybe it will. Maybe it's going to be fine. But when you're dealing with rifles, bolt carrier groups, things like that, like the heart of the rifle is your bolt carrier group. If it fails, you're done. So don't cheap out on a bolt carrier group. Now you can find some really great deals like PSA and stuff like that, as long as they're heat treated properly. And you can get even inexpensive ones with nicer coatings on them, like nickel boron, things like that. But now, I mean, is the time to buy things like that because they're like $59, $79. There's all kinds of deals on those. So, especially for your rifles, I would say have a couple of extra bolt carrier groups, have a couple of extra lowers, have a couple of extra parts kits, to build your lowers. Those are the things that I would load up on. You don't need a whole bunch of stocks. You don't need a whole bunch of, forearms and stuff like that because those things, I mean, they can take a lot of abuse. But things that are going to fail, maybe like extra trigger kit. I've got tons of mil spec trigger kits, but things that that could fail. That's what I would load up on. If you're trying to get parts, magazines. I've always said that whether it be pistol magazines, AR-10, AR-15, whatever. Load up on magazines. Magazines are the first things to fail. Springs go bad. You're dropping them in the dirt. You're dropping them half loaded. I have only cracked a few. That was way back in the day with, and I talked about this before with like the original PMags. They've changed a bunch of stuff on them. I haven't had any problems since. Broke some feed lips off way back in the day. Um, but have that kind of stuff. You might not need 15 rifles, but you're going to need 15, 20, 30 mags to have. Whether it be pistol, I'm not saying you have to have 15 pistol mags for one pistol, but you know what I'm trying to say. I would load up on those kind of things. Yeah, I mean that's a valid point. Slings and optics before other guns. I mean, if you're going to have a rifle or a PDW, you definitely need a sling because if you're just holding it and you're going out to do something and you don't have it attached to your body, some big OSOB is going to grab it from you. Or if you roll around with them, you're probably going to lose it. So those are little things to think about. Yeah, I think I have like, I run a lot of the nickel boron ones. I've talked about them in videos. I've got like 6 or 7 of those. I've never had one of them fail. Never. Not even an extractor on one of them. Yep. The carry size compacts, G19, C2, things like that are definitely the popular things. Hello, hello, Denton. How are you? But, back to the enough is enough. Um, I say do what you want to do. Feel comfortable with what you're, getting. Um, two is one and one is none. I've said that many times. The guns that I really, really, really like, I have two of. Two P07s, two P09s, two Glocks. Where I can switch parts over. Um, gosh, staccatos. They take the same mags. Other 1911s, two MPAs, two of the same rifles. I have two of the same tactical shotguns and two of the same semi-automatic shotguns and other stuff. But I do have a lot of twos because, like I said, if something goes down and I've got a dot on one, I can throw that slide over on another lower, with a pistol. So there you go. Just things to think about. Especially if you really, really love that gun, it's not a bad idea to have two of them. It's really not. And one you could go and just beat the crap out of and shoot a shitload of rounds through it at the range or whatever you want to do, train with it, beat it up. The other one you could carry. If you don't want to put that much abuse on your actual carry gun, it's not a bad idea to do that. When do you think the Christmas sale will begin above and beyond Black Friday deals? Have a buddy's wife asking me what he wants for Christmas. Want to give her a sale so she doesn't get cheap. Um, I mean, I'm already getting all kinds of notifications from Primary Arms, PSA. I mean, they're already starting like the 12 days of Christmas already. So I would, if you're wanting to find out some really good deals, sometimes I post some just to share with y'all. I do have affiliate links with Primary Arms, PSA, and some other places. So if I usually find good deals, I'll throw it up on my community tab. So I try to help people out with mags and stuff like that. I've been seeing some really good deals on Bowtac for magazines, Lancer magazines, OK magazines, which are really good if you like metal mags. You know, I would just kind of maybe subscribe to a lot of those things so that way you can get those if you want to get them personally. What's up, Norwood? How are you, man? Ever buy a gun just because everyone else has one? Buying a Glock just to have a gun that you would find parts and shit with. Ever buy a gun just because everyone else has one? Um, here's me. I'm a little different. I like to get guns that a lot of people don't have, that really tickle my fancy, so to say. I don't like really running with the crowds. I've always been, and I don't want to say this rudely, but I've never really been so much a follower. I've always tried to be like a trendsetter, um, whether it be shoes, boots, whatever it is. I just kind of like to do my own thing. Not saying I can't appreciate another gun that someone has or a brand of that gun And I know that I've bought guns that other people have, but I don't really chase that new polymer, wonder gun. I don't really chase that new steel wonder gun, um, because I really try to think about it in my brain. Is that new polymer wonder going to do anything that my other one's not going to do? On polymer guns, it's pretty much not. It's going to be the same thing. Um, if you've got like some exotic where it's part steel, part aluminum, part polymer, or whatever, that could be something different. Um, I just like stuff that not everybody has. It's just the way I've always been. Not that either thing is right or wrong. It's just that's kind of how I've been. Let's see here. Scott says, got my Taylor's and Company 1911 today. Not bad for $2.99. Cool, man. That's awesome. I would, Scott, on that one, what I would do is I would go shoot it. This is just my opinion. I would go shoot it, and then I would check your ramp, your feed ramp, of where it is hitting on that feed ramp. And if it's, catching low, catching high, on a lot of those, sometimes you'll have to polish them or throw them out on some of the less expensive ones. Because a lot of those were designed, for the old school ammo. So that way you'll know that it's going to take flats, rounds, all that other stuff, and defensive ammo too. But I would polish that, look at where it's hitting on the feed ramp and then polish it. You can do it with, you can actually do it with some zip or whatever that or Fritz or Fitz. I can't even remember. I've got some in the garage. And you can polish it, or you can actually take it somewhere and they can, polish it real good with a little Dremel and a polishing compound. Or you can actually have it throated, however you want to do it. But, that's what I would do. Dennis Buckner, LPVO suggestions for an AR-15. I'm just going to give you my opinion. I've tried a bunch. Now, I have never tried an Athlon, which Bald is talking about. I've never tried one of those, but I've tried a lot of primary arms. I've tried a lot of, budget type scopes. Steiners, not Steiners aren't budget, but I like Steiners. But my favorite LPVO, and I'll throw it out there. I know a lot of people probably won't like it. My favorite LPVO is the Vortex HD 1-6. The one is incredible. The glass quality, it is like state of the art. It's legit. Even when I throw it on 6, it's crystal clear. It has a huge eye box. Like your eye relief is really, really good on that. It has a lot of light, is able to come through it. It's super impressive. So I highly recommend the Vortex 1-6. The Vortex 1-10 is really nice, but when you get into the 1-10, you're either going to compromise on the 1 or you're going to compromise on the 10, because you've got to stretch that 6, 7, or the 7, 8, and 9 and 10 out. So it's got to kind of give somewhere. And I've looked through the 1-10; it's not bad. It's actually nice, but it is what it is. But I'm a huge 1-6 Vortex fan, and I believe, in my opinion, and I think others have said it, it's pretty much the gold standard for a 1-6. And I've got a lot of 1-6s, but that is the nicest and clearest one I've ever put my eyes through. I played with some Night Force; they're super nice. However, a lot of their reticles are really busy. So the one that I run is the 1-6, and it's the JM for Jerry Michalik. So it's just the plain, crosshairs. It's super fast. It is truly daylight bright. That's what you're going to run into with a lot of them. They're not daylight bright. Even the primary arms are just kind of reddish. But you're going to spend the money to get the Vortex, and it does have a lifetime warranty. But it is what it is. So. Yeah, but Scott, I've actually hit some of those feed ramps with a little Dremel and some of the flits. I think somebody said it. Yes, flits, Pistol Pete. I've hit it, and it's been great. So, I haven't had any problems after that. But some of them, the old 1911s, I had to really have them throated, so I had to have a gunsmith do it. Hello, Lynn Holt. How are you? I also have the Vortex HD AMG. I've got that on one of my Longboy 308s, and that thing is butter too. Now it's a long range scope, but that thing it's awesome. Yeah, and I have Primary Arms optics. They're not horrible. It's just when you look through one of their optics, even their P series, which is their higher, or what is it? They have the S, they have the L, and then their P is the platinum. The platinum is super nice. It's really nice. Matter of fact, I've been on the wait list for the 1:8 platinum compact forever. So, and they're really nice scopes too. Yeah, and you can get a lot of nicely priced optics. And if budget is a factor, I mean, if you just want the best clarity that's out there, I would say definitely the Vortex. But there's a lot of budget options out there that aren't bad. I mean, I can look through my Primary Arms and I can see things fine. It's just when you really get into color contrast, like the color of the hat, or little colored things, you can really tell with the Vortex how it just pops those colors. So if you're looking at like a grassy berm and like a lighter target, a lot of the cheaper ones tend to kind of bleed in together, but the HDs, I mean, it really you can tell the difference when you really look through both of them side by side. Swamp Fox. I don't have any personal experience with Swamp Fox. I'm not saying they're bad or good or anything. I just don't have any personal experience. So if y'all do and you like them, that's cool. Hello, just what is it? KLKNIT. I totally agree with you on the LPVO statements. I just want you to know your videos convinced me to get a PO7. Did a full Cajun Gunworks kit. Scent Slide Jaeger Works got it milled and coated. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I love the PO7. It's a fantastic gun. I highly recommend that gun. If you want a single action, double action gun for the price, you cannot beat that gun. It is a fabulous gun. Highly recommend it. And what's funny, I've got two PO7s and I've got two PO9s, and I've said this before. I actually shoot my PO7s better than I do my PO9s. I mean, I shoot them both good, but the PO7 is definitely, for me, is just a better shooter. Hello, G23. How are you, sir? For some reason, I don't know why this is. There it is. Okay. It's fixed now. Let's see here. I had something else. Oh, I did want to ask, what what do you think as far as what type of guns, and I'm talking about calibers, what type of calibers do you think everyone should own? Just curious. We're talking shotgun, 22, 308, 7.62 by 39, whatever it is. Let's just say four calibers. What four calibers do you think everyone should use? Does the PO7 take normal CZ mags? I have gotten them to run. Just letting you know, you can actually put a CZ75 mag in a PO7, and it will run. But you have to hold it with your pinky. You have to kind of push it up and like hold it up because it'll fall out. It's skinnier. But I have gotten it to feed. But what it will take is it will take the CZ P10C or P10F mags. So when you have your PO7 and you are ordering mags, order P10F mags for the longer ones or P10C mags for the shorter ones, because that way they have the dual cuts and it will run in a PO7, PO9, as long as it's long enough, and it'll run in a P10C, P10F. That way, if you ever get a P10C, you'll have mag compatibility. Because if you use the standard old school P07, P09 mags, they will not go backwards compatible in a P10C or a P10F. So they won't, because they don't have the dual cuts. They only have the single cuts. So always, don't use a CZ75 mag because it is not truly compatible, but I've gotten them to run. I just tested it and I got a video on it way back when, and it does work. But it can be finicky because you have to wiggle the mag sometimes. 22 LR, 9mm, 5.56, 12 gauge. Yep, those are really good. That's a really good pick. The Jericho mags, they won't run in a P07, but some of those will run in the CZ75s. 10mm, 308, 5.56, 9mm. At least that's what I prefer. Yeah, that's good. 9mm, 5.56, 12 gauge, 22 LR for the win. 10mm plus 308. Yeah. And I've always said this: if something really goes crazy, kind of what we've been through before. Remember your boutique rounds, such as your 6.5 Creedmoor, some 300 Blackout, stuff like that is going to be harder to find. Where 308, 9mm, 22 LR, 12 gauge, you're going to find that. Or people who have it, where you could do some trading. Bald, 50 AE, 50 Beowulf, and 8 gauge. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, 7.62 by 39 doesn't make the same sense. I mean, I know people who have paid the same price now for 7.62 by 39 that is 300 Blackout dollars. And I'm like, God almighty. But, that's the thing about it, And I love 300 Blackout because over 7.62 by 39, I've said this before, you can run supers, subs. You've got all the way from 90 grain all the way up to 230 grain. Multiple that you can run in 300 Blackout where you really don't have that plethora. That's a $5 word. Where you really don't have that in 7.62 by 39, those type of choices. And 7.62 by 39, even suppressed, man, it's super, super gassy. Even if you can adjust, if you've got a adjustable gas block, it's still, they beef those things up so they'll run, even in shitty conditions, because that's what they're designed for. Most of them are, AKs especially, but they're super, super gassy. Yeah, 40 Smith & Wesson is pretty popular, which can be shot through a 10mm. DK, it's not as popular as it once was. I mean, that is one round, honestly, 40 Smith & Wesson that is truly almost dead. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad round. I'm just saying there's a lot of places that don't even carry it anymore. I mean, in my area. I know a lot of people still like to shoot it, but it's just not as popular as it was way back when. Sean has a good setup here. 9mm 5.56. Then I have 308 gas gun as a do it all. I mean, that's a really good choice there. Really good selection. Plethora. There you go. My Kai for the win. Plethora is an $8 word with Bidenflation. Yes. Hell, he couldn't even say. It would take him 25 minutes to say that word. Tons of it in South Carolina. Well, that must be where they sent it to, because we don't have it around here. Yeah, hello LWR or LW Road. If y'all haven't checked out his channel, do. He's a good guy. He's always got some sneak peeks on some stuff that's coming out. And I've sent him some stuff saying, hey, you can talk about this. I don't really do a lot of the sneak peek stuff. Yeah, and what's funny, and I've said this before too, I've got rounds, calibers, a lot of ammunition in these calibers I don't even have guns for. I've got a lot of 40. I don't even have a 40 gun anymore. Hell, I've got 7.62 by 39, tons of it. I don't even have a 7.62 by 39 anymore. Um, that's the thing. I mean, but don't ever get rid of your ammo. Now, I will say this: my neighbor, this was back a while ago. I used to have 380s, and I had some defensive rounds. But I always said, when I carried a 380, I would prefer to shoot a 380 with full metal jacket. Um, because I don't want any less penetration. I want the most I can get on a 380, especially a shorty. But that's just my deal. I want to make sure it's going to run that particular FMJ very well and reliably. But if you've got a coat on and stuff like that, 380 can fall on its face. But yeah, she needed some really badly for self defense when all this crap was popping off. So I took care of her and pretty much got rid of all my 380 ammo. Not that I miss it, but I did take care of her with that. They're good family friends. Greenville, okay. Yeah, I personally don't use 380, but I still know a lot of people that do, and they like it because they've shot it a lot, or that's what they prefer. But you know, 380, depending on the gun size, can be really, really, really snappy. Hell, sometimes even more snappier than a 9mm or equal to. Also, I'll go ahead and tell y'all, I did get a bunch of stuff from Tandem Cross. I'm building something up um, that's pretty badass. I think y'all are going to like it. Um, and if you want to, I'm rocking their hat tonight, but if you want to buy anything from Tandem Cross, you can use my code. It's BJGG5, all capitalized, and that will save you 5% off anything except a full pew pew. So any parts or anything like that you need. But I did get in a nice care package. I've already put all the parts in, did it all myself. It was super simple. Every one of their parts I've put in every one of my guns. I've got several Tandem Cross guns, and honestly, Tandem Cross makes parts better. They make the guns way better. Um, but I'm trying out some of their newer stuff. I've also given them some ideas on some other stuff, so they're checking into that. One of their engineers is working on it to see if they can do it, because I think if they did it, it would change a lot about a particular gun. I'm not going to mention the gun, but a lot of y'all may own the gun, and there's nothing really available for that gun. I mean, there is a couple of things, but not a lot. But you know, I mean, I've been running Tandem Cross parts way, way back before I even had any dealings with them. Matt Moore is saying, on 40, it's never been my preference, but the disadvantages are not as bad as some make it out to be. I think as a caliber for self-defense is preferable to 45. Don't cancel me. No, I agree with you. It definitely has a lot more steam than a 45. I mean, I love 45 because it's an old school caliber. That's what I grew up with. However, 40 will outperform a 45, just not leave as big of a hole. But it's definitely faster, and you can run plus P and all that other stuff. We know that. But no, I mean, 40 is a fine caliber. People, I've said this before, back in the day, I had 8 or 9 40 calibers. However, and this is something I personally did myself, and I've said this story before, if maybe people haven't heard it. Okay, I was a jet engine technician. I worked on the big boys, little boys, all of them, 727s, 37s, 47s, 57, you name it, I've worked on them. 66, I even went to the 777 release in Boeing in Seattle, Washington, when they released that plane. But if you've ever heard of it, it's called magnetic particle inspection. Okay, when people talk about a bolt, was it MPI tested? Okay, that's magnetic particle inspection. I have performed MPIs myself on jet engine parts, turbine blades, etc. So I was certified in MPI inspections. So basically, you take the part, you run a solvent over it that has metal flake in it, and then you magnetize it. And it will actually stick in there. Any cracks crevices, anything like that. And then when you check it with a black light, it will glow and show you if there's a stress crack or something to that effect. Okay, in my off time, I took in all my 40 caliber barrels, took them out of the guns, took them with me, took my 9mm barrels. I MPI tested all eight or nine of my 40 caliber barrels and a bunch of my 9mm barrels. I personally did this myself. I'm not blowing smoke. Did it, checked them. On the 40 calibers, I had guns on my 40 calibers I hadn't even put 2,000 rounds through, and I'm not making this up. And I had surface cracks. This will only show with cracks. I had surface cracks in some of these 40 caliber barrels. Some of these, I'll say the names. They were Glocks. They were Smith & Wesson. One of them was a Ruger, an old Ruger. Okay, so these were the brands that we're dealing with, and they had surface cracks. Now, does that mean the barrel is going to explode? No, it does not mean that. However, a 40 caliber round is very, it's like a bigger explosion in your barrel. If your gun is not set up for a 40 caliber, it could blow it apart. It could blow the extractor out. I've seen it happen many, many times on a 9mm. So be aware of that on a 40 caliber. Now, if the gun is set up for a 40 caliber and you don't have the little Glock, bulge, so to say, probably never going to have a problem. But I have seen it. So when I checked my 40 calibers, out of 8 barrels, I had surface cracks in 5 of them. And these were checked by me, certified technician, doing an MPI inspection. These were after some of these had 2,000 rounds, 3,000, 4,000 rounds, and the ones that have been shot more had deeper cracks. Still doesn't mean it's ever going to blow up. After I saw that, proved it to myself, I quit shooting 40. This is just my opinion. Take it for what it is. This is also with the older style ammunition, which they probably have upgraded and changed. But this is a true fact. I'm not making it up. So there you go. Let's see here. What are you drinking, man? I was drinking Noteworthy. Already drank it all, but it's really good stuff, and it's very reasonably priced. Also, do you have any opinions on 6-ARC? I'm thinking of getting a 6-ARC bolt pistol. 6-ARC is pretty awesome. Harry and I have talked about it from Harry's Holsters. We talked about it quite a bit. If I wasn't so vested in what I have now, I would own one. I think it's really cool. Now, could it end up being a difficult round to buy and find? I find it very occasionally at places like Texas Gun Experience carries it, but they carry a selected small amount. It's just not abundant like your other rounds are. It's more of a boutique round. Now, if you're a reloader and you like that round, go for it. I think it's really cool. I think the results are awesome for what it is. It has less recoil than a 308, flatter shooting. There are a lot of advantages to have it. But if I wasn't so invested in all of the things I have now, I just don't want to jump into another caliber personally. But yes, I think it's a awesome round. But that's my opinion. Yes, it is. You're exactly right. 40 caliber, because it is major power factor. So a lot of people do have that to make a major power factor, because 40 is cheaper than 10mm. So that's why they still have it. Yep, I've done MPI building some small block Fords back in the early 2000s. We called it MagnaFlux. Yes, you're exactly right. And I have MagnaFlux blocks, heads, things like that myself. Also flattened out heads, lapped valves. I was one of the guys that did the old school hand lapping with Clover compound. If y'all have ever built engines, I was that guy. I've built tons and tons of horse-powered engines. I used to build all my own engines. Now, I would send out the heads to have them flattened and flat milled. I'd have the blocks sent out to have them flat milled, but I did build my own engines, buy the head gaskets, and I'd build them myself. Do them up with lithium grease, with builder's lube, as some people call it. All kinds of little tricks. When I would put the head bolts in, or basically any bolts, I learned this from an old school engine builder. You basically take your bolts on the threads and you paint them with milk of magnesia. Uh, it's that shit nobody likes to drink, but it is actually great for heat when you're pulling out head bolts and things like that, because a lot of them break and then you've got to helicoil them and all that bullshit. Um, but yes, I've built many, many, many engines. I've built 350s, I've built 400s, I've built 455 big blocks, I have built 523s, I have I've built a ton of engines, a lot of 400 small blocks too. But I love to. Never built transmissions. I was not a transmission guy. Now I've put torque converters on and shit like that. Shift kits. I put a lot of shift kits in, but I was not the detailed transmission builder. I always sent those out to trainee guys and had them done. I've ran Keith Black engines. I have bought Keith Black engines, performance engines. If you're familiar with him, used to be out of Oklahoma. They're not cheap. It's basically like a crate motor before it was a crate motor. Um, but yes, I love to. Rabbi. Builder's lube. That's what Bald uses to break in his apprentices. Oh, that's pretty funny. Yes, I've built those little soapbox cars. I built my cousins and won them. And won them. We won those, or not soapbox, those little Boy Scout cars. What are they called? Those little shit where you put the CO2 cartridge in it. I forget what the hell those are called. But I had my little cousins and they were like, can you help me? Or the parents were like, can you help me? I was like, send me the kid. I'll build him a badass car. Took home the prize. Derby cars. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I've won some Derby races that I haven't even attended. Pinewood Derby. That's it. Thanks, Richard and Rabbi. Yep. They were like, we can't figure this shit out. Can you build one? I was like, hell yeah. I can build some shit. I even put white lithium grease in the little axles. Man, I spruced up. I put drilled holes in it. I melted the old lead weights, like a lot of people make bullets out of. I melted a bunch of old lead weights and I poured weight in it, so it would have more nose. I mean, man, I was tricking those little suckers out. Won many of those things and never attended them. I just got the pictures with him showing, holding up the trophy that he won, and I did it for my other cousin, and he won. So that's pretty cool. Oh, also, I did want to ask y'all. I'm thinking, and we've talked about this before, but I'm really, really, really thinking about starting another channel. I've said this, gosh, probably for almost a year, maybe longer than a year, but I'm really, really considering starting another channel. The other channel would have absolutely nothing to do with guns. It would have stuff to do with other things, other things that I enjoy. Would y'all be interested in watching that channel if I started it? Or would you just be like, we just want you to stick to the gun stuff? But I could do, some things that probably people haven't seen before, or maybe they've seen it before, but I could put my spin on it. But I was just curious, if that's something that y'all would be interested in. It would be cars. It wouldn't have anything to do with guns. I could mention like a gun check or something like I do, but it would be probably cars, machinery, building stuff, maybe working on cars, maybe doing like, I'm not going to do a gun safe video. I have said this before, but I've got a lot of specialty tools um, that probably a lot of people haven't seen before. I could do a toolbox review or something like that. Show some really cool tools that I have, specialty tools that probably people haven't seen. Hunting, if I did, and that's the thing, I've put up hunting videos way back when, like, gosh, what was it, like 4 years ago? And there was some stuff that had holes put in it that weren't walking anymore. And YouTube pulled a lot of them down. I didn't take them down, YouTube pulled them down. So I don't know how well they like me throwing those up, but, not saying I won't, but. I fish, but not sure that it would make a good channel. Yeah, man, do it. I always tell everybody to get into YouTube. Just throw stuff up. You don't have to be any professional guy. I'm not. I just do what I do. Mike High says anything with engineering involved, I would watch. Cool. It could be like a vlog style thing, on a particular vehicle. The thing is I probably should have started it way back when. Um, I used to do a lot of small engine repair, build engines. God, if I would have done YouTube, man, 15 years ago, I'd probably have 1 million subscribers or more with the shit I used to do. But, back then it wasn't, nobody was really doing it when I was doing all that stuff. I could take you through the car trailers, the race car trailers, the toolboxes built into these trailers I had. Had totally enclosed trailers. I had a 2009 Mega Cab 4x4 that was all tricked out to pull race car trailers. But, I sold all that off. But, I don't know. I'm just like, damn, man, I should have done YouTube back then. Yeah, Sam, it wouldn't just be about cars, but I could have cars. And it would just be basically like a vlog channel. Whatever I want to talk about other than guns. If it was gun related, I would bring it back to this channel. But I've just been thinking about it. Oh, here we go. Matt is saying, Big J, I know you're local DFW. I'm not sure if I asked you this before, but I have a 71 Lincoln Continental Mark III. You know anyone great on old school wiring and vacuum lines? I know a guy. I know a guy. Those aren't fun though, but I know a guy that knows old school wiring and vacuum lines. You got to remember, when I used to race some cars back in the day, you had to take your distributor. I had it set for my driving, and when I pull up to the racetrack, oh, never mind, I can't say that. When I would pull up to the faster lanes, I would get out, pop it up, and I would crank the distributor. I had the distributor marked with a line of tape, and I would crank the distributor, and that was the racing setup. But yes, I'm very familiar with those. They're not fun to work on. Vacuum lines suck. I still have the old vacuum line testers that you have to pump up. Carburation, vacuum, that kind of things. That's what you're dealing with a lot on those vehicles. Now, that one, 71, it might have had the multi-spark. I can't remember. It's been so long ago. But the Lincolns and the Cadillacs were a lot more advanced. A lot of them had vacuum secondaries too. But, I was back in the day when I'd have to get out and adjust the carbs, change the floats, all that kind of crap. I mean, it was a pain in the ass to run your car, to drive it there and then tweak it before you ran it. And I was the guy that actually carried the slicks in the back with the floor jack. So I was that guy. Or had a runner truck that would bring them. Where can I find your email? It's in the YouTube. It's there. Yeah, and that's what you're going to run into, Matt. The wiring on those, you can pull up the diagrams. Matter of fact, you can even go on Mitchell. There, you can get the wiring diagrams. You can go on eBay and you can buy the old Mitchell books for the 71 Lincolns. They actually made books for those where you could chase the wiring, so you can go on and that's what I would need. I would want at least some sort of a book, because chasing wiring from the front of the car to the back of the car is not fun. And if you've got to start from scratch, it's expensive and it's very time consuming. So if you could get a schematic, but you can buy those old Mitchell books. There's libraries of them on eBay. Yeah, some of them also used to be on stickers. Back in those days, they had stickers under the hood where you could track a lot of those. But over the years, those stickers are brittle and they've all peeled off. But you can do a lot of Googling too and sometimes get those. The only thing is when you go by your VIN number, your VIN number could actually have extra grounds and things like that aren't in a lot of the schematic books, but grounds are not hard to find. I mean, you can trace them, but you're doing ohms testing. I mean, it's just, man, it's a pain in the ass. It really is. Oh, you've got the original shop manual and such with wiring diagrams. I just hate wiring and don't have the patience for it. Yeah, and Matt, what you're going to run into that if that car ever set, I promise you, you're going to have this problem. A lot of those cars got rats in them, and the rats ate a lot of the wiring because they are attracted to wiring. They are, and coolant. And you're probably going to find where some of those wires are chewed, and it's always like under the intakes and weird places where rats will nest, and they usually just chew up shit. And I've actually pulled wiring out of cars, and I mean, it'll all be connected when you look at it, but you've got leads that have popped out or chewed on. I mean, it's just crazy. Now, what I have done on race cars is ripped all the wiring out, thrown it in a big pile, and I've rewired a complete car, multiple cars, and that's not fun either. But building wiring harnesses is a pain in the ass too. So, but anything else? I don't really want to cut into Chris's time, but so is it a vote to start the other channel or really consider it? It could be, like I said, it's just going to be kind of a channel where I'm thinking about just doing whatever I want to do, whatever I want to talk about. One time it might be cars, the next time it might be something else. Pulling something apart, fixing it, whatever. I don't really do a lot of mechanical stuff anymore, or turning a lot of wrenches because I do have arthritis. I've had it since I was like 35, and sometimes it can be pretty crippling. It freaking hurts. Um, so I do take. I've been taking Celebrex since I was like 32 years old. A lot of sports injuries and stuff like that, car crash injuries, crap. So my hands are all jacked up, and I've got videos where people are like, "Oh, you're not shooting holes in holes." I also have a trimmer. I've said that before too. As I got older, things have happened. So I'm not a perfect bullseye shooter, never claimed to be. But you can see it in some videos where, if my hand's there, you'll see it shaking, or you can tell when I'm shooting the rifle, I'll have a little bit of, shaking in the hand. But it is what it is. And, we all shall go on. Okay. If you're rolling down windows and it's blowing fuses, yeah, you've got some stuff chewed up, or yeah, yeah. Or you could have a power motor shorted. I've seen it where those doors are pulled apart, and I've actually pulled off door panels and found rat's nest inside the door panel where the wires are chewed apart, and one of the wires are actually rubbing on the metal of the car. Because back then they used to build cars right. You'll have 2 or 3 I-beams through there, and I've seen all kinds of shit chewed up inside those doors, and that can be the main thing. No, don't put a bigger fuse in it, Pistol Pete. You'll burn that car to the ground. I've seen people put aluminum foil in fuse boxes. Don't do that shit. Oh man, where? Any suggestions where to get fiber optic sights for the M&P Shield? Sam, check Dawson Precision. Dawson Precision. They should be able to get you fixed up. I love Dawson Precision, and they make good stuff. Yeah, don't start putting bigger fuses and all that crap in those cars. I knew you were kidding, Pistol Pete, but man, I've seen people do that shit. Oh, it took a 15 amp fuse and you put a 25 in it. Yeah. Lake Ozark, I'd find a specific big topic, a general all channel might be tough to find followers. Just my thought. I'll follow it. Cool. Like I said, I'll think about it. I've been thinking about it for quite a while, and I don't want to be like, I want to, have some cool stuff maybe that y'all haven't seen before. I still have friends who have some tricked out planes, like old Moonies, where they have Porsche engines in them. I could take you out and show you some plane stuff. Just so y'all know, I still am certified to work on airplanes. So I've done 100-hour inspections for him and stuff like that. But, some people might think, hey, this is pretty cool. I've done some stuff with Bonanzas, if y'all are familiar with that. That was the little wing on the back. They used to call them Dr. Killer planes because a lot of them crashed. Might as well straight wire it. I'm telling you, I've had to rewire, like trace stuff all the way around. top 5 new handguns, best 1911 under a grand. There's so many people covering that kind of stuff, but I get it, Racer, and maybe that's something I'll do. I think you need to find another niche topic if you want the other channel to grow big and be profitable. Yeah, and I mean, it's all about bringing new stuff to people. I just don't want to, keep it on this channel because I've had a lot, I've tried to do some golf stuff back in the day and people are like, this is a gun channel, not a golf channel. People lost their mind. So, maybe I could take you to a test cell for jet engines. I still have some access to that. If you've ever seen, I don't have another channel set up, LW Road. I don't have one set. Back in the aviation, when after I would build a plane or some that I had worked on, they would be test engines that we would hang on. I'll just tell you a quick story that we would actually hang in a test cell. And you would thrust it up inside of a room. All the controls were in here. We'd hook the wiring harnesses up, and the engine was just hanging there, not on an actual airplane. But we're checking thrust. And I've probably got some pictures. I don't have videos because we didn't do videos back then. But I've got pictures, or they did videos. I probably just have pictures. When we would do a bird strike, all of the big commercial engines have to be tested for bird strikes, meaning if a bird flew into the inlet, how would the engine handle it? Because you've got duck, geese, all that shit, and geese are bad about it. But you would start with like a frozen Cornish hen. The engine would be fully spooled, and you would throw the Cornish hen in there, and it would blah, 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 blah. And some parts might fall fly out of the back, but you have to see if it's still going to keep thrust. So it's frozen Cornish hens, frozen chickens, frozen turkeys, and you just work your way up. And you could get an engine to completely stall out, and if it hit hard enough, it would actually blow the blades out of the rear. You would have shit flying out of the back of your engine. So, you're basically doing destructive testing. Oh, real quick, I put up that video where I tested the TLR-7A against this little, I don't even know what the hell you call it. So y'all can check out that video if you want. But this light, when this guy, he had been asking me to check these lights out. So I said, okay, if you send me 2, I will test it out, because 1, I will, and I said this to him, 1, I will test, the other one I will destroy. Like I'll set it up for, freezing it, throwing it in the air, doing all that kind of shit, seeing if I can get it to fail. So he said, okay, I'll send you 2 of them. So he sent me 2 of them. Well, he saw the video, and I said in the video that I was going to destroy one of them, or should I give it away? And he sent me an email, I guess last night at like 3 o'clock in the morning, so I'm sure they're in China. Sent me an email and said, oh, if you're going to destroy it, send it back to me, please. Or will you please send it back to me? I was like, what? I told you I was going to destroy it, and now you say if I didn't want to destroy it to send it back to you? I'm like, no. I'll either destroy it or I'll give it away to somebody. I'm not sending it back to you. I already told you what I was going to do with it. So anyway, underwater golfing would be cool. I was going to do some underwater basket weaving. But I'll go ahead and jump off here. Let Chris, he's got his chat going on. But if y'all have any other ideas or, stuff you might want to see on the other channel, throw it below after this chat, and I'll look at it. I'm still deciding what I want to do, if I want to do it or not. But we'll keep thinking about it. But I appreciate y'all so much. Have a great night. Hit that thumbs up, share, all that good stuff. I appreciate it so much. Like I said, this probably will be demonetized. They've been hitting me pretty hard. But we'll see. But y'all have a great night. And remember, an unarmed nation's a very weak nation. So we all got to carry on. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate y'all.